Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm here at the IEEE PES T&D, that's a lot of acronyms, conference. This is the 2020 version that is actually being held in 2022. These interviews that we're conducting is with thought leaders on the future of the power industry. So enjoy. My next guest is Santiago Barcón. He is from Mexico City, and he's got both a magazine, so he's a publisher, and he's got a training company. He's got a lot of things he does, plus he's a wine expert. I wasn't going to mention that, but welcome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So, the questions. The first one is, in talking with you yesterday, you're pretty visionary. You can see what's ahead in the power industry, as we call it, whether that's in Mexico, in the United States, and Canada, but the North American or global power. What are some of the problems that you see or opportunities that you see?
Well, I always believe that a problem is an opportunity.
Oh, I love that about you.
So I think that the main challenge is how to grow the grid and make it reliable. And there are a number of challenges among that road. The first one, of course, is that the investment is massive, and it's a lot of money that has not been put into the system for several decades. If you look at the average age of the equipment in the United States, Mexico, and the rest of the world is well beyond their design life. So
right.
That's something that needs to be done immediately. Also, the CO2, it's something that we, as humanity, we need to tackle. But I believe there is a little bit difficult to really go into this 100% renewable. The system is not designed for that. It's very romantic, but it's not engineering-wise. It's not going to happen. No, and at least not in our lifetimes, not in the lifetime of my kids. No?
Okay.
And I've been in this business for several decades, and of course they always tell you, look how the prices of the panels and the batteries go down, but eventually they become asymptotic. No, yes, they go just like that, and this is the end of the savings. I've been involved in the capacitor industry since I started my professional life, and I always point out that the electrical equipment that has grown or improved the performance most is the capacitor. So from 1920 to 2020, we have been able as an engineer to reduce 14 times the size for the same amount of power. That's the good news. The bad news that 1980 was the last time that we were able to improve. So this is the asymptotic part.
Yeah.
So batteries are just capacitors.
That's exactly right.
So when they tell me that, I say, yes, it's romantic, and Elon Musk can say that the world is flat and people will believe it. No, he's a genius in marketing besides being an extremely intelligent person.
Yeah.
No, so what is not going to happen? This is the first challenge. The second that is barely mentioned is that we have 1.5 billion people without electricity. And I think that should be the most important thing to do. We are going into an electrical reform in Mexico, and they say renewables, and say, yes, we have 3 million Mexicans without electricity. That should be our priority. No, because these people are smoking from, they are breathing smoke because they are still using kerosene or they are burning wood.
Yeah.
So that's the most important part. Once that you have everyone electrified, progress can start to happen. No?
One of the things that we have discovered is power, electricity, leads to literacy.
Oh, yeah.
Because when the sun goes down, if you can't read, and so much activity is outside during the day, but when the sun goes down, if you can't read, you will not be able to read.
Oh, yeah.
And wherever we've taken impoverished people and we've given them power, you know what happens? The literacy rate goes up. Yeah. When people can read, they can grow, they can get an education. Yeah. It's important for that.
I think it's very important, and the whole infrastructure. Obviously there are over 20 million Mexicans that they had crossed the border. And they do very well in the United States.
They do.
And why? Because the infrastructure is there. No, they don't have any barriers, or at least as much barriers that they will have in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, you need a telephone line, you have it. You need electricity, you have it.
Yeah.
In Mexico and other development countries, that does not happen. So it's not a matter of intelligence or hard work. It's a matter of just giving them the tools to really improve their life.
That's excellent. So you also have a training institute.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the Training Institute came from the magazine, and we have a big database, and we started to...
Okay, so start with the magazine. Then
start
with the magazine.
With the magazine, and then we decide, well, we have the database, and I always love to teach. I think that if you teach and you educate people, you have the best customers.
Yeah.
You know, the really difficult customers are the ones that they believe they know. No? And of course, customer is always right. No? But sometimes they are just completely lost, and they believe all these kind of histories that other people try to sell to them. So if you educate customers and you educate young people, you create change. No?
Yeah.
That's very, very... That's why I wrote a book. No? There was not a book in reactive compensation in Spanish. So I said, we need to do that. No? We need to have a book so people that study, they can use it both at college or on a master's degree, but also in companies that they are electricity intensive. So it's you have to give something back.
Yeah.
Yes, if you don't do... Yeah.
That appears to be what you've done with a lot of your life, because you started as a writer. Is that correct?
Yes. I started. I'm an electrical engineer. I always loved to write. My grandfather. I had my two grandfathers. They were very important to me. One was an industrialist. Started the first fine pasta factory in Mexico, spaghetti, and the other was a lawyer that unfortunately lost his leg at 15 years old. Playing, and the tram caught it, and but he was extremely intelligent, and he loved classical music and reading. And since I was the oldest, you know, it's you don't have an option. You don't have an option. So I still have his LP collection. So
do you really?
Yeah, over 1,000 LPs.
Okay, so they're probably worth a lot. Are you keeping them flat or are you keeping them sideways?
Sideways.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
My son is a collector, and he's sideways.
Yeah.
So you went from being a writer for the magazine to eventually owning the magazine.
Yeah.
Distribution, how many people?
Well, we went fully digital on October 2019.
Right.
We have a database of 40,000 that we have created ourselves. There's nothing that we bought databases or we bought people. Yeah. So it's a very strong database, and people love the magazine, and because we really have writers. And what I like the most is that we are very plural. We have people that is from the right wing, something for left wing, people that is at the center, and we had never ever blocked a single article. Never.
Really?
Well, that doesn't help in selling advertisement. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, it's... But that's life, no?
Yeah. And so the magazine then led to the Training Institute.
Yes.
Talk about the Training Institute.
Well, the Training Institute, there's a grid code being installed in Mexico, so no one understands about grid code. That's my area of specialty, reliability, grid code compliance. So I started to get, using the database, we just did some mailings, and it started to pick up. Yeah, unfortunately, we have the pandemic that really hit us, but eventually education is going back, no? And especially, the poor kids, no? Just imagine 2 years without education. And I'm going to give you some figures. Normally, when you start engineering, it's 100 enter, then it's 80, 70, eventually 25 to 30 finish. So in these 2 years of pandemic that people is studying in line, tests are online, out of the 100, it's 100. No? So it's, of course, it's very difficult that when these kids will go out they will be basically useless.
75 of them will be, 25 of them will be.
Well, I think that more than the 25, because, it's this kind of slowing down in the curiosity. And I always said, we were talking about regulators, electrical, the Mexican FERC. And I said, well, the other ones were nicer. I said, that's the worst definition. You have to hate the regulators and you hate the good teachers. Yeah. If you love the teacher, he's not doing his job. You have to hate the teacher. Years by, you will say thank you, and you will be happy that. But at the time, you just hate them. That's the definition.
My favorite teacher in the MBA program was a gentleman named Wayno Sujanin. He's since passed, but. He was my favorite teacher. He also taught me the most. So there are the exceptions that you don't always have to hate the best teacher.
Well, yes.
He was the exception to the rule.
But in general.
So you've got the magazine, you got the training institute, and you're coming back live? You said, right?
Yes.
Coming back doing that live. Did you learn anything? Because we also had a training institute. That was not ours. It was associated with I am the president of the Electric Power Reliability Alliance.
Okay.
And so as the president of that, we also have a sister company called Electric Power IQ. It's what do you know about? And we started training maybe even 40 years ago now on transformers. And actually wrote the book. Stan Myers wrote the book, Transformer Maintenance Guide, one of the most widely used books. Even we've got it in Portuguese, we got it in Spanish, we've got it in English. But then we had training programs that went about that. When COVID hit, we had to stop all of our classes that were live too. We did a lot of what we call on-sites, where we would send instructors to a company and we would teach 20, 30 people at the company, right? We started doing live online, and the cost of each event went down and the attendance went up, and we're actually making more revenue without sending people out on airplanes. So as the pandemic hit, we said, maybe we don't go back live online. And we do two of the courses in Spanish. You met Tracy Hopkins, who's one of our teachers, or was one. She now works for me. I brought her over to my company. And then a gentleman, Eris Pena, who is a brilliant engineer. We hired him from the Dominican to take that part of the world, and does a brilliant job of doing the teaching, both in English and Spanish.
Yes, the problem that we had in Mexico, and I will guess in the rest of Latin America, is that there were so much free webinars that people say, why am I going to pay?
Okay.
So that's really complicated, and people get distracted. It's online. It's difficult for the people to really learn, and you don't see them. You don't know if they are really understanding or not. And eventually, if you're going to do a long training, you might lose 20 or 30% of the students that they just don't understand, and they just start to answer emails.
We actually do testing along the way. So they have to take a comprehensive test about did you learn what you did, but you do see the numbers decline. We don't give any money back. If they paid up front and they left, we keep the money. They just left without the knowledge.
Of course, it was a decision.
How long have you been associated with IEEE?
I've been associated, when I was a student, I was a student member, then left, and 4 years later I came, so I will be a life member this year. So
excellent, congratulations.
Over 100 years between my age and the number of years at the IEEE.
So talk to the young engineers. Why should they become members of IEEE and participate? It's one thing to become a member, but volunteer, be on the committees, do the work.
As I always tell them, if you believe that you learned something at the university, you are completely wrong. You don't know anything. you're going to start to apply what you learn in school when you are working. But technology change, no? It's and new applications now, power electronics. I'm going to give you an anecdote. My area of expertise is power quality, harmonics, and capacitor banks,
which is a big issue right now.
Oh yeah. So when I left college, the dean told me, Santiago, I'm going to give you a piece of advice over drinks, and said, when you don't know you don't know what how to solve the problem, tell them that it's a 7 harmonic, and then find out the real cause. But now it's a 7 harmonic. At that point of time, we studied Fourier and everything, but they were not present in the system. Power electronics, they completely changed everything.
So they should get involved because things change and they keep up with the change.
Yes, and also it keeps your mind open. When you are trying to find new things, and the Spectrum is a great magazine. Actually, it's a magazine that the rest of the people can read, even if they are not engineers. So you learn, and it challenges you to learn. That's also very important.
That's it. Well, Santiago, thank you for taking the time to be with us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for visiting.